Welcome back to Sales Remastered. In this episode, what I want to cover is the common objection of I'm receiving too many calls or I'm receiving too many responses back from this inquiry. Typically, this objection of I'm getting too many calls or I'm getting too many responses occur when a consumer or prospect does an online inquiry. And that's probably the most common way of inquiring to your service or your business or multiple businesses at once. Everyone's all about saving time, especially our consumers. And so that's why one of the word plays or the techniques that I use in my very first sentence is I'm going to help you save some time, because I want to be able to hit an emotion that they appreciate and, more importantly, take control of the conversation. And so when I hear that objection, it's usually after I go into my opening pitch, and that script, by the way, is at SalesRemastered.com. And sometimes they'll tell me that, hey, you know what, Daniel, I'm just receiving too many calls. I didn't mean to do this inquiry. I'm so upset. Whatever. They're going to give you every line of frustration because they think that we all work together, and only you and I know that we don't. And so how do you come back to that? How do you respond to the consumer that's already frustrated? You hear their phones blowing up in the background, and you're already kind of set up for failure in essence, right? And here's how. The way is that you have to agree, right? Again, always agree with your prospect. Never be defensive, never come back off combative. Almost relate to them. Be personable, because every other agent or sales agent that works for your competitor may not be as professional as you are. And so what I found work is when I receive that response, like, oh, I'm getting too many calls, what I do is I respond back and I ask them. I say, you know what, that usually happens. Don't worry. Everyone kind of gets a little bit alarmed because their phones start ringing, and then they get calls on their cell phone, their home phone, or whatever information you left on the inquiry. But let me ask you, how many of these companies have you talked to already? And the reason why you're asking that is because you're going to find that sometimes you're the first one, or you're the second one, or you're the third one. And depending on how fast you pick up the call, or how much your company paid for that aggregate lead, you may be the very first call. And what I use as an opener is I'll say, you know what, John, don't worry about it. It happens all the time. A lot of our clients once filled out an inquiry, and then they discovered that they basically shared their information with about 10 or 11 different companies. And so that's what's going to happen right now is your phone's going to ring. If it's getting you a little anxious, feel free to turn the ringer off and just keep an eye out on the caller ID. But let me ask you, how many companies have you talked to? Well, you know what, Daniel, you're the very first one, and ever since I hit enter on my computer, my phone has just been blowing up I'm ringing off the hook. I didn't mean to do this. Man, I should have never done this. And they're going to explain some sort of regret to you. And then again, you want to comply. You just want to agree and move it forward, right? And so my response is, hey, you know what, John? No worries. It happens all the time. But the reason why I'm your first call is because I want to show you how to get this service far more effectively than all of the other companies that you're going to talk to. Now, it is a reason why we're preferred within your county, and name off their county if you know it, or name off their city if you happen to know that. And say the reason why we're preferred within your area is because we are more professional, we're more diligent, we're more experienced within this particular service, so much so that we become the preferred service provider for, let's say, the Lake Forest area. And by saying it that way, you're kind of relating to their surroundings, and you're saying things that they're familiar with, so they almost feel like you know them. I know it sounds weird. And by figuring out first whether or not you're the first call, the second call, or the third call, is because you need to understand your position. And so if you're the first call, it's very effective to say, hey, no worries. The reason why we're the very first ones to contact you is because as a consumer, we know that you have the right to know what it is in terms of options of getting this service at a far better price, far more efficient service, and more importantly, speak with a company that has great ratings, or speak with a company that's been doing this for X amount of years. And that's what I can do. I can help you. I'm going to help you save some time first, just to make sure that all these calls you hear in the background are even worth your time. And now, my name is Daniel, and I'm authorized to provide you with the information you need. Now, I'm just going to ask a few basic questions, and this will even let me know if I can go forward with this call, or if you have reason to answer any other calls. And when you level with them that way, when you speak to them like a human versus a consumer, they'll actually appreciate it more. You know, it might take a little bit of practice, but that's all you got is time. And so repetition is obviously key. You want to play with it, you want to have fun with it. Now, let's say if you happen to be the second or the third call, then you can kind of just switch the wording, switch up the wordplay and say, yeah, no worries. The reason why we're calling you at this time is because we wanted to give you an opportunity to speak with the other companies, and now you're going to be able to see how to get this service at a far more efficient price or more efficient way, and you just want to be able to list off some some of the benefits as to why working with your companies is in their favor. And you be creative, you can be as creative as you want, but I find that method works. It's just simply agreeing and adapting. And so if you're the first call, say, you know what, the reason why we're calling you is why we're the first one to make contact with you is because we understand as a consumer you have the right to understand or at least know your options of how to get this service at a more far efficient way, or to be able to get this service without having to pay high retail fees or high retail markup costs associated with all those other callers that you hear calling now. And it's almost saying, hey, I'm the only person you need to talk to because I'm going to show you how a better way to get it versus the other competitors that are calling you. And on the flip side, if you hear that, oh yeah, Daniel, you're the fucking 8th call, you're the 9th call, and say, yeah, no worries, we wanted to give you some time. We wanted to give you some time of experiencing for yourself, because this is an important decision of what it's like to talk with these high retail charging outfits and these other companies that charge a premium for their service and below quality grade work. And the reason why we wait this long, or the reason why you're hearing from us now, is because now you understand how not to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it. And I know you might be saying, but you're talking trash on the competitor. Not really, you're being professional. I'm not deliberately saying this company is horrible or this company is the worst. All I'm doing is kind of adapting, switching up the wordplay, getting the attention and pulling it in my direction. The prospect will have to speak to several companies, or they're going to feel like they need to speak to several companies. And what we can do is kind of teeter on the emotion of being in a rush, teeter on the emotion of just wanting to get it done, because that's how society is. They just want it done. Whereas a lot of sales agents and sales representatives have difficulty because they're too busy tap dancing, or worse yet, they go directly into price and say, okay, well, what are they offering you? This is my price. It's not about that. It's really about whether or not you can make it a personable experience, you can relate to what they want, you can adapt your services to the results that they want and that they're pursuing. But in order to do that, you have to be able to have a conversation with them. Don't assume that they're looking for this particular benefit. Everyone's going to say, I want to create savings, and immediately some agents are going to say, well, I can help you create savings. This is my price, this is my rate, and just go right into talking numbers and negotiating. But if you took a few more minutes and actually figured out why they need the savings, I need the savings because my wife no longer works, or my husband took a pay cut at work, or my husband's not working any overtime, or I need extra cash flow because I now have children, or I'm expecting daycare costs. And when you find out where that emotional tie is, the rest of your conversation becomes more powerful. And so if they give you further resistance and say, hey, you know what, Daniel, I already told you I'm not interested. No worries, John. The only thing that I'm doing is just making a quick note because I believe I can help you save that money that you need to afford the daycare. Or I believe I can help you save that money you need to offset the decreased income from your husband losing his overtime. Or I believe I can help you save that income because Mrs. is no longer working and you need to be able to offset that drop in income. And so I'm already hitting the emotional tie, but I'm saying it in a way that keeps them going and they can't resist me any further. So I hope this helps. Please like, comment, and share with your sales community. My name is Daniel with SalesRemastered, and I appreciate your time.